Financial freedom by far is the most important freedom. Like, I get that money does not solve all problems. I totally understand that. But you know what? Money is really good at solving money problems. What is about to unfold is an opportunity that you don't want to miss out on. Because the reality is, as interest rates get cut, that means there's going to be an opportunity for you to take advantage of that in a variety of different ways. Let's imagine for a moment that you already have debt. I'd argue that if you're listening to this and you're here in the United States, many of you do, right? Because debt is part of the fabric of the United States ecosystem. But if that is the case, there could be an opportunity to refinance some of that debt for a little bit more favorable rates. Now, some of you have debt that was issued many years ago that has amazing rates, so refinancing is not likely in the near future for you. But as the cost of capital comes down, that may give you an opportunity to say, hey, listen, maybe I should jump in to getting back into this ownership economy rather than waiting until the prices catch up with the fact that the cost of capital has come down, right? If the cost of capital comes down, that means there's more possibility for people to get access to capital to go out and buy things, and those things then mean that more people are competing for them, so prices tend to go up. So you may leave opportunity on the table if you wait too long. And the reason I share it this way is because if you're anything like me, you're probably focused on winning, whether it's winning in business, winning in finances, winning in life. And my measure of winning has nothing to do with revenue, right? I think revenue is just a vanity metric. I don't care how much money you make. I care about how much you keep. I care about that net, not gross mentality in all of its dimensions. It's not just about tax reduction, which is something I teach business owners how to do. It's not just about asset protection, which is, again, another pillar that I teach business owners how to capitalize on. It's not just about wealth accumulation, although that's a significantly important pillar. And then it's not just about legacy. Again, another significant pillar. But when you bring all of those four pillars together, that results in generational wealth. And that is the measure of winning. Like, that is success in business and in life. If you create generational wealth, it's hard to argue that you have not succeeded. Now, you may not have succeeded in every aspect of life, but that is a significant measure of success, right? Generational wealth, because now you have financial freedom. Free cash flow greater than your daily needs and wants. That's it. This is the most important freedom to fight for, guys. It leads to all other freedoms. Financial freedom leads to the freedom of education, the freedom of healthcare, the freedom of mobility, the freedom of security, the freedom of choice. Financial freedom by far is the most important freedom. Like, I get that money does not solve all problems. I totally understand that. But you know what? Money is really good at solving money problems. And I don't know about you, but when money problems are solved, most of your other problems get solved with it, right? That just is the byproduct of it. Financial freedom leads to the byproduct of being able to do what you want to do in life and live the type of life you want to live. And when you understand this formula and you understand what's about to unfold, like when interest rates come down, the cost of capital comes down with it. And that gives you access to do a lot of different things. And if you are anything like me and you desire generational wealth, you need to be positioned to take advantage of what is about to unfold. And that is this concept of the journey of generational wealth. Now, here's what I know to be true. Over the course of the past nearly 30 years of me doing what I do, there are 4 pillars that are critically important for you to achieve generational wealth. You have to have an intentional legacy built into your plan. You have to have worked to safeguard your wealth for generations, right? To stop erosion from happening one generation to the next. Like, it has to be an intentional legacy built into your design. You also have to have some protection mechanisms in play to safeguard your wealth from all of the enemies at the gate, like the creditors, the litigants, the opportunists who want a piece of your pie, right? That's just the reality. You have to have an asset protection plan to safeguard your wealth. I speak around the country on the topic of money a lot, right? And inevitably, when I get off stage, people ask me, Edward, how can I make more money? And my number one response, and in every regard, is always the same. Number one thing you can do to make more money is to keep more of what you're already making. Tax reduction. And I get it, you can just go out and make more money, but if your hole in the bucket is there, the tax hole, if you will, you put more water in that bucket, it just means more water pours out the hole, right? You have to plug that profit leak. This tax reduction goal and objective is critically important. Here's where the magic exists within what I teach. If you're anything like me and you want to win in business, you want to win in finance, you want to win in life, you need to pay attention to what I'm about to share with you. Pillar number 4 is the magic sauce, wealth accumulation. When you put in intentional legacy, asset protection, and tax reduction, and you pair it with a wealth accumulation mindset, that is what leads you to generational wealth creation. What do I mean by wealth accumulation? Well, I have a concept I teach my mentees. It's called compound asset acquisition. This concept is what has transformed the lives of thousands of business owners. I've helped thousands of business owners across 18 different industries. I've helped high-income W-2 professionals. I've helped real estate investors. This concept has been what has made it possible for people to work towards generational wealth creation. Compound asset acquisition. This is what it means. It means when you are keeping more of every single dollar you make, you are giving those dollars a job. Go out in the world and bring more dollars home. Because if you don't give your dollars a job, they become the employee of someone else. And I'm going to tell you this, they're not going to be helping you. And what's beautiful about this system is that when you pair it with a tax reduction ecosystem, you're able to say, okay, let me use my tax savings, right? I'm cutting the money that I'm sending to the IRS. I'm reducing it. Let's put this in the context. If your situation is this, and you make a certain dollar amount, let's say you make $500,000, right? And that's your net taxable income. Let's say hypothetically, your tax ecosystem, the money you owe to Uncle Sam is $125K. Here's your choice. You can either send it to the IRS or you can send it over here towards an asset. Which would you rather do? Buy, right? Buy the asset. Because the dollars you send to the IRS, there's no return on that. It's a no-brainer. No one teaches this stuff when we're kids, right? We don't learn it in the context of a school system. So we learn to become slaves of an ecosystem that is built for people to win if you know the rules. And when you don't know the rules, you just become the individuals who fund their winning. No matter what you believe, if you're playing the wrong game, you'll never win. Even if you're playing the right game, but with the wrong set of rules, how can you ever hope to win, right? Especially when you're playing against people who actually know the rules. The reality is if you want to win, you have to learn how to deploy your capital, your free capital, your tax savings opportunities that are created towards an asset acquisition environment. And if you can keep more of every dollar, and instead of sending those dollars to the IRS, you could use those dollars to go out and buy assets that potentially cash flow. And then what's interesting is that in year 2, after you acquired the first asset, in year 2, now you have the cash flow from the asset you acquired plus your other cash flow. And maybe in year 2, you could buy another asset. So now you have 2 assets. And in year 3, you have cash flow from 2 assets plus your other income. Maybe you could buy 2 assets that year. So now you have 4, which would mean in year 4, you have 4 income streams from those assets plus your other income. So maybe you could buy another 2 or 3. So maybe you have now 7. And the cash flow from those assets plus your other income. Now, I get it. There's risk involved in everything. But here's the reality, guys. I'm not saying you should do anything. I'm trying to not should over people all the time. Let me tell you what my position is. Pretty much everything I want in life is found just on the other side of caution. That's just the reality. If it was easy, everyone would be doing it. So here's the choice. It's going to be hard. There's risk that you have to take. But there's also risk of not taking risk. What happens if you wake up and it's 10, 15, 20 years down the road and you didn't take any of these types of risks and you don't have anything to show for it? Like, that's hard too. So life is going to be hard either way. Choose your hard. And again, a lot of people are saying, well, Edward, interest rates where they are today, like I can't even fathom trying to get involved in real estate right now because it's just going to be too expensive. And that's typically because whenever you've learned about real estate investing or business purchasing or whatever it may be, you're typically learning it from someone who has only one dimension of expertise. Maybe the only experience they have is in real estate, or the only experience they have is in business acquisition, or the only experience they have maybe is in traditional investing, right? In a traditional portfolio, like a financial economy on Wall Street, right? And again, I recognize what I'm talking about may sound strange because it's coming from someone who owns a private wealth management firm, but I also own real estate. And I also own a consulting firm. And I also guide business owners and entrepreneurs and W-2 professionals all across the country in their journeys toward the creation of generational wealth. So having a multidisciplinary approach, again, I'm biased in that regard. I recognize that, like, I'm not naive, but having a multidisciplinary approach is way better, because when you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail. So if all you're doing is talking to an asset protection attorney, well, then all they're going to do is talk about asset protection. That's all you're going to get. You're not going to necessarily get the flavor of having how one aspect of your life interplays with another. That's why you want to sit down and talk either with all of those separate individuals with someone who can coordinate them, or find someone who you can work with and trust that actually can put you on the path to having an integrated approach, so that the things that you're doing in the asset protection aspects of your life are melding well with the things you're doing for wealth accumulation. And they're working in tandem with the stuff that you're doing in tax reduction, right? That's what I'm talking about with regard to everything I'm sharing. This is where the rubber meets the road, guys. Like, if you're watching, it tells me that you're interested in taking action. So I want to give you information, or at least context, with which you can go back to the people you trust to help implement, right? To get this stuff implemented in your life.